My name is Dawn Hunter and I'm Senior Standards Manager at ESI, overseeing our digital committees. We would like to welcome you to this webinar. In this webinar, we will provide an introduction to BS 10008, which will publish in May 2020. Leading the webinar is Alan Fitman and Peter Howe, who are both involved in writing of the standard, and each have over 25 years experience in implementing the requirements of BS 10008 across many industry sectors. Alan and Peter, over to you.
Thank you, Dawn. Alan Chipman here. We'll go on to the first slide, please. So what are the key objectives of this security standard? We all have information. A lot of that information is stored electronically. And in this document, it's called ESI. We want to be able to trust it. We want to have confidence in it. And therefore we want to improve the reliability of it. That's the key objective. Back to the previous slide, please. Thank you. Depending upon what we may be using the ESI for, we may suddenly discover that we need to use it as evidence of what we've done. Perhaps in a court, or perhaps just in normal day-to-day use. And so we need to be able to rely upon it, and this reliance is called evidential weight. We may be trading with other partners, other organisations. We want to know that the information we're giving them is trustworthy, and we hope the information coming from them is trustworthy. Hence, the key objective of this standard. And of course, we're all regulated, we're all audited. We want to be able to demonstrate to our inspectors that everything is good and we can trust our business information. So, next slide, please. So, this work actually originally started in 1993, looking at the whole issue of evidential weight of that fund information. And a publication in 1996 as a code of practice on how to manage your ESI. This was very widely used, it was very widely referenced. For example, there was a recommendation to use it in the original FRI section 46 code of practice. What we now have, and we're on our 6th version, we have the British Standard, ES 10008 Part 1, which is a specification. That's what we need to do. We have Part 2, which is a code of practice, which helps you understand how you should do things based on that specification. And then there is an audit tool, 0009, which is a compliance checklist, which people can use as an audit tool to see if they are complying with ES 10008. So, on to the next slide, please. So, how does an organisation know what ESI may be required as evidence? Is it possible? Can an organisation really know what it holds may be needed? Or in fact, does it simply understand that any of it may be required? The approach in BS 10008 is to be able to demonstrate information trustworthiness of all the information we have. And the results of that, good quality information, we'll be able to demonstrate how its authenticity can be assured, understand its integrity, and make sure it's available whenever you need it. And of course, all this relies upon doing things well, doing things properly, complying with good practice. So on to the next slide. And what are the contents of the specification? And those of you that are familiar with management systems will recognise this structure. It follows exactly the same structure as any of the other management systems, but it's not in itself a separate management system. And it follows the Plan, Do, Check, Act process. And on the next slide, you can see how those sections relate to the Plan, Do, Check, Act. Yeah, courses 4, 5, 6 and 7 are all about policies, all about planning, how you go about it. Section 8, the operation, is the Do section. How to operate all your processes and procedures. And then sections 9 and 10 are the Check and Act, the audit sections. So, on to the next slide, and over to Peter to talk about more details of the content of the specification. Peter.
Thanks very much, Alan. Peter Hayes here. One of the things in the specification that's really important is actually that the commitment and leadership of the organisation, that it comes from the top management. And because of that, we have a real focus in the document on the policies of the organisation. Because if you don't know what you're trying to achieve, how can you demonstrate that your processes and procedures actually map onto the requirements as stated by the organisation? So very, very important that you get top management involvement to set the policy and ensure that the resources are there to actually drive it through. One of the areas that we really do see quite often is that it's getting much better than it was maybe 5 years ago, is the awareness of information stewardship. Who is actually responsible for the management of the information? And that's throughout the life cycle of the information, which may be a really long time. Some of the people that we've worked with over the years have actually had retention periods of 100 years. So, not suggesting that every organisation is like that. Some are, so it's throughout the life cycle. And some of those organisations that have those really long retention periods got to be able to demonstrate an unbroken chain of accountability throughout the life cycle of that information, from initial capture, and they authenticated it, right through to the time of ultimate controlled, defensible disposal. So, leadership and commitment, key areas, as are the processes and procedures, and demonstrating that you've done what you said you were going to do. So, next slide, please. If you actually follow BS 10008, you'll actually not just prepare yourself for the times that the information that you hold is used as evidence, but you'll actually improve your responsibility, improve your processes and procedures, make it auditable and be ready for audit. You'll improve your information quality. You increase your organisation's awareness of the value of the information assets. And because you've actually worked out what your information assets actually are, you'll be able to find them when you need them better. So, ultimately, it will actually lead to better information and reduce administration costs. Yeah? And it means that when you actually do destroy originals, you're doing it without taking risk. So it's got lots and lots of benefits throughout the life cycle, not just when you end up using the information in a dispute. Most organisations will end up in disputes from time to time. Next slide, please. So, as Alan said, there are a bunch of supporting publications. There's the Code of Practice, which is based on the European requirements. It does identify key areas of good practice, but it isn't specifying or recommending specific technologies. That's up to you. There is the compliance checklist, which you can use as a self-audit tool. You can use it as an audit tool external as well. When you use that compliance checklist, it does actually allow you to document your own compliance state, and you can use it as part of your chain of ongoing compliance. So it's a thoroughly useful additional document. Whole suite work together very well. Next slide, please. So, by following the specification, using the associated documents, you'll actually ensure that your own information is trustworthy and will actually resist challenges. When it resists challenges, it actually makes an adversary in a dispute realise that your management of ESI is not your weak link. It actually, as a result, means that isn't the bit they go after. So it reduces the cost, and it means you're not wasting your time and money resisting those challenges. Really very, very useful. Next slide, please. So, you use the specification. It will help you show that your information is what it purports to be, and that it has been managed effectively throughout its information life cycle, and it supports its use as evidence. So, most ESI is not challenged in a dispute, but actually, if it is challenged, and the challenge is successful, you will lose. Yeah? So, that's a very brief overview of DS 10008, Part 1, showing you the value of Part 2, and also the associated code of practice. Really useful. Organisations that we've worked with have taken real value out of it. That's it for today.